And we're back from an intermission. How
Yep.
do you do? This is my new voice. This is what I sound like.
Forever?
Yes. How did you know?
I like it. I think this is an improvement. I think it should be like this all the time.
Oh no.
No pressure or anything.
But anyway, people that have been on the channel the last couple of days might be wondering why there's no videos up. Except for like a couple of them. Like a lot of the usual stuff's not up. I was gonna make a video that kind of said what I was up to yesterday. And like that was gonna be like a bit of content, like story time with some photos, and I was gonna be like, and here's why that's the other videos didn't happen. But like, I was also busy today, so like it kind of just never came to fruition. But now that we're doing the Q&A, I was like, maybe we could tell the story, because Stephanie was there.
I was there.
We had a memorable day in a number of ways, and it's just kind of a fun thing to talk about for a bit. So while I try to lay down zip lines that go from the first prepper to other parts of civilization, so I can figure out how the fuck to do this.
All this for a little star. You starbelly sneech.
Do you know the name of the place we went to?
Can we say that?
I don't see why not. It's just like a lake.
Okay. Yeah, so Keith's brother and I like to go on
like for the level of specificity, like our PO box has a town name attached to it.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Whatever.
Like they're gonna place us within a certain range. It's just not, you just don't want to like outright tell people where we live.
Yeah,
it can bite you in the ass if you get accidentally famous, and then the crazies show up and try to murder you.
I already have crazies who want to murder me, who can't know where I work. I have a very specific rule when I go on dates. I don't tell people where I work because I have problems. But anyways, Keith's brother and I like to go out hiking or going on nature adventures because we like to take. Well, just we take things. We like to go look for fun things legally for like animal uses. It's like, you know, certain places you go, you can like harvest certain types of like aquatic plants or like this or that because they're invasive or this or that. Depending on where you go, these rules are different, and look them up before you go any place and do stuff like this because you don't want to get in trouble with the nature people. You also don't want to defile a beautiful place, so you know, be responsible. Anyways, so Keith came with us this time and we went to a place called Pinecrest, which is usually a lake. It's just
a great way to put it.
It's usually a lake.
It has historically been a lake.
It's kind of like it's snowy around the area.
This time it's
very foresty. Yeah, but this time California is in a drought. In case you didn't know, people, and I feel like this had some effect on the landscape. The lake was like almost completely drained. I don't know if it was because of the drought or if it's because there's a dam there. I don't know if they can control. I don't know how that works exactly, but either way, the lake was it was like a bare bottom. We were in the lake bed, which is actually really interesting because not only were there are trees growing in the lake bed, which is weird to me. I don't know what came first, the lake or the trees, or how that worked exactly. But we found like a bunch of weird debris everywhere, which was kind of fascinating in its own way, although really kind of sad because people leave beer bottles in the bottoms of lakes, and also like metal chairs and like a portable fire pit, and, like weird shit that you tell was underwater for a very long time.
But we had fun kind of hypothesizing what the hell was going on with that lake and like what it meant, because we got there, it was like these long swooping like flat mud cracked areas, and you can see all the layering of like the soil from like there being different water levels at different times and so on.
Yeah.
And there were still like some areas where there was some water, but then lots of like just mud. But then all throughout are these tree stumps that have just been like taken out, like clearly like removed by man.
Well, the tree stumps are there. It's just the trees are hacked in half.
Yeah. But it was interesting to think about just how many trees there were in what seemed to be the underwater part of the area. So you start thinking like I was bringing up the idea that like it might be like like swampland, kind of like where the water level kind of rises and falls all the time, and it's like certain types of trees that can kind of live in like a few feet of water. Oh god.
Oh.
Cool, I died.
Oh.
This game makes no sense. Its physics are so fucky. I just magically died walking down that slope. What was that?
You really don't die very often in this game.
Yeah, it's almost always that. Especially in the post game I've been playing, it's always this, where I just
random stuff.
Sometimes I just magically physics across the area and instantly die. I'm like, cool.
Magic physics. I can say baby.
Baby. Who's
Baby's
your butt?
It's pretty cute. I always think it's cute. It's
But
weird. But it's cute.
we were walking around in this like desolate, weird, like lake bed desert.
It was very weird.
With all the crazy like semi trees everywhere.
It's very eerie.
Yeah.
It's a very unique landscape.
It's a cool visual.
There were parts of it that were like very misleading as far as like how soft the mud was, and Keith got really stuck in like a tar pit.
No, that's how you get dinosaur extinct. It was like just like that.
So we like at first I was like we kept walking, and eventually it was like, okay, well our shoes are in danger, and then we got a little bit further and we're like, okay, so we're in danger of like having water seep out of the mud and into our shoes. So we got to that point, and we went a little bit further, and I got my dog with me. She's trotting along, and by this point like her whole like legs are covered with mud. I'm like, all right, it's not too bad yet. But then, like, at one point, I just took a step and...
She's just happy to be included.
Okay, no, she's just happy, though. Happy as a clam. I fucking passed my sock. And I was like, okay, well, that's, that's done. Like, that's fine. Actually, I don't mind when stuff like that happens, but I was like, yeah, that's fun. There's
a rip off the Band-Aid moment where you're like, okay, well, I'm just resigned to my... Like, before it happens, you're kind of, like, trying not to let the water get past your soles into the top of your shoe where it leaks into your shoe. Because like that's the turning point where it gets kind of shittier. So it's like whenever you walk in puddles or whatever, you like try to keep it on the underside of your shoe and not like get like the inside of your shoe wet and your sock wet and everything. But once you like properly sink in, you're just like, okay, well
initially I wanted to take my shoes and socks off and just walk in the mud, but there was too much glass everywhere, so I couldn't.
Yeah, because humans.
I had to keep an eye on Kiki the whole time because I was really worried she's gonna step on glass, which really sucks.
Yeah,
people suck. But Keith got so stuck because like he was trying to walk the way that me and his brother walked, but like
I tried to follow you.
I'm really
but then I started sinking. I'm like, this isn't gonna work.
I'm really nimble,
So I went where Eric went.
I got big feet, but I don't weigh a lot, so I think I just duck waddled my way over that tar pit.
But then I tried to follow my brother, and I just fucking sank, and it just kept getting worse.
And at first I thought Keith was just being a little baby because he was
I was like cemented.
He actually
into the ground.
couldn't get out. We had to go.
Yeah, I was actually getting kind of exhausted just trying to pull my legs out because it was like a lot of force, but also like it's like I brought up like it's like the Semi Newtonian fluid thing where it's like you can't use force to beat it. You have to just do like consistent pressure for a long time to very slowly escape, because you can't like it's the harder you pull on it, the more it solidifies. And it was a mess. I eventually had to just abandon my shoe, pull my leg out, then like physically just dig my shoe out with my hands. Like I had to go tunneling because there was just no way. It was so physically like suctioned into there. It was absurd. That came as a surprise. So then we hobbled over to some rocks that were like by the shoreline and tried to like get vaguely clean as much as you can from like muddy water and everything.
And that was like 20 minutes within us being there, so we immediately got like our shoes and socks soaked, and then also just like covered in mud.
Yeah, I'm just happy I don't have any blisters.
And Kiki kept like frolicking around and like just kicking mud everywhere, and so her leash was like coated in mud, and then my hands were coated in mud from holding her leash, and then I would like touch my face, and I got like mud on my face, and then I had like I think everything I had was like had mud on it, which I thought was really fun. It was, like I like just being like, oh well, fuck. And then just moving on. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
Is just actively choosing not to care about things.
Well, the first time I went up there, your brother made me go up there, but it was like he didn't tell me it was going to be snowy, and we went
Oh.
And so we ended up like going and trying to harvest wood on the side of the road, but I ended up like falling in like waist deep snow in like normal clothes, and that was like a very similar like ha 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 like laugh it off, it's fine.
You just kind of accept what's happening at that point.
Yeah, it's almost kind of a freedom to just letting it go.
Yeah.
Like just giving up, it's fine.
Once you hit the fuck it threshold,
hit the bottom, it's cool.
it's like I'm free now. I can stop worrying about this going bad. It's already happened.
Yes, like once we got all like muddy and whatever, we're like okay, so we just frolicked off, and we saw some really neat stuff. I was trying to collect like fishing lures, but I couldn't find that many. I found like a duck jawbone, or like a duck like bill bone, which by the way Kiki ate this morning.
The entire thing?
Well,
just the bone?
She pulled it out of my pocket and chewed on it a bunch. I forgot it was in there, and so she had a nice disgusting duck bone this morning.
Dogs will just go for it.
She's a little gross little billy goat.
Yeah.
She actively pulled it out of my pocket, and then I found pieces of it. That's also part of why I'm washing my comforter right now.
Oh, because there was like
there was duck bone all over my comforter. Gross little monster.
Yeah, because
she pulled it out of my laundry basket. I didn't even remember it was in there.
At the end of the day, Eric and I were both taking showers and like just getting clean after a messy day, and you were like, "No, I just live like this. I'll take a shower tomorrow."
I was like, "I'll just go to bed."
Yeah,
so
I'll just sleep like this, and then in the morning, you're apparently like washing all your sheets now because it took a toll.
Well, it just so I had to get up really early for work this morning, and so I took a shower this morning before work. And then I got home and I was like, I should probably wash these blankets that my muddy dog was laying in all day. And so I gave her a bath after work, and she didn't like that too much. And now she's clean, and now my comforter and my sheets will be clean too. But yeah, no, I was like, I'll just sleep in this like sweat and mud and filth. Like, it's fine. I need to wash my sheets anyway. It's cool.
Is that connected? I mean, you were even specifically like, I'll roll in it, and you just started rolling on the floor.
I did start rolling on the floor.
Oh, it was connected already. God damn it. Oh, you want to see my dumb museum?
I have no standards.
Here's my dumb museum. One of the achievements is to build every different structure in the game and then upgrade to level 3. You have to upgrade every different structure. And then you also have to build every type of sign, the shitty holograms, and there's like 50 of them. So I just made a spam area, and they all have the same annoying hologram of the giant thing. Just to be garish and call people's attention. So there's the shelter, and they're all chrome and gold looking because that's what it looks like at level 3. So there's a bridge that goes over a gorge, but then there's just a random charging station and a random zip line and a random watchtower and the shelter that's right next to that other real base that's right there. And then Timefall shelter here. And then a mailbox right there. And then every single goddamn sign at the game, there's so many of them and half of them don't show up, and it has to like it'll randomly choose some to show and some to vanish, but it's just every different warning message at once. That's because they just gave me that achievement requiring that, so it's like fine, I'll build every single one in one location. Congrats. So I got that achievement. That was a pain in the ass.
I like it.
It's
beautiful.
Because you have to you have to bring resources to them to upgrade them, and it's like I'm just gonna build it by the base. That's where the resources are stored.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm not gonna like go find a clever place for each individual one and then make several trips to get all the right resources to it. Like that would take hours. But that's my dumb achievement cul-de-sac, and each one of the
dumb achievement cul-de-sac.
At any given time, I think only one item per player shows up in another player's world. But no matter which one they get, they all have that hologram. Like, even for me, only shows one right now, but every single one of those devices has that hologram attached to it, so it's like really eye-catching, and it's right next to the most used base in the game, basically. The one with Edgar Wright in it.
So other people can see that, right?
Yeah.
So
but it's like a random distribution of like which structures from which player show up in which other players.
So they probably won't see all of them at the same time.
No, I think you're limited to one structure per player per region. And it's like, I mean, like these regions, like these ones, all these dotted lines, the way it's all cut up for like one region per prepper and stuff. I think that's probably how it works, but I'm kind of guessing. Which is how I say a lot of things in general.
Well, as long as it's an educated guess, then that's all you can do.
So we're 20 minutes into our trip.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
And we're trying to get clean in the lake, just rubbing everything. And I'm getting what the fuck?
Can you answer your phone?
What does that say?
Restricted?
Yeah, it's just a random phone call from a restricted number. Anyway, all my
Keith
life.
Stalkers.
I was getting texts earlier from somebody, so I thought it might have been important, but it was just like a weird rando thing.
Watch it. It's actually me. Like, I'm actually down here, like, calling you from across the room and just to make you scared.
From your restricted burner phone.
Sometimes when I get messages from people that I definitely know but I haven't heard from them for a long time, I pretend like I have a new phone and I ask them who they are and what they want. And I make them
just to create a little bit more awkwardness.
Well, and then also
is it specifically people you don't want to actually hear from?
Yeah. But then also it's sometimes people that like I want to test to see if they remember who I actually am or not, because
or if they're just texting like girl names that they have stored.
Well, because like I'm a skis bag too, so like I know the skis bag tricks because I'm also a skis bag. So like I do. Like sometimes I don't remember their names either, so it's like I gotta like, hey you know, that whole bullshit. So sometimes I'll be like, one time I went on a date with this guy and we both had a conversation about how we're both terrible people about that. I was like, you think that you're getting one over on me, but I'm getting one over on you, ha ha ha. Like I'm a dirtbag too, ha ha ha.
She's like, I don't know your name either.
Yeah, we had a whole. It's like you. Yeah.
For me, it's usually generally safe to assume I don't know your name unless we've met like 3 times.
What's my name, Keith? Oh no.
But no, like there's all these people
I actually care about you. You better know my name.
I always meet people at random parties or get-togethers or whatever, and it's like it's always friends of friends of friends, and it's like I don't unless I can tell my brain that I'm going to be seeing this person frequently and regularly in some way, my brain will not try to remember at all what their name is, because it's just like in going through life you just encounter so many random faces that are just like one-time off things, and it's like too much RAM to contribute to dedicate to trying to like memorize details about them. So I'm really bad about that.
Yeah, no, it's like despite like frolicking, there like I really only dedicate actual time to people I care about, because I can't. My brain gets too cluttered with all these unimportant people, and so I
thought I just spilled that drink all over myself like a baby, because there was like a weird slap noise like right on my belly, but it was just the other headphone falling down. But it was like right when I went to take a drink, I'm like, how did I fuck up that bad? Then I just reach around, I'm like, there's nothing wet anywhere. Nope, I'm just tricking myself into being a baby. It's all a ruse.
Keeps a baby. We so we were walking around to Lake Bed.
That place was beautiful.
It was super beautiful.
I was talking about like it seemed like one of the most beautiful places I've ever like been to some extent. And I've been to like a lot of like the places that you're supposed to think are really beautiful, you know what I mean? Like the big landmark places, and I'm always like, yeah, it's fine. But there was like a really specific juxtaposition of like the dried, then like 90% gone lake crossed with like all the random stumps everywhere, and then like the entire floor is textured with like the mud cracks and everything, and it's like there's so many like elements. Like there's like so much grayness, but then hints of color and layers to everything.
And you're surrounded by a big forest.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful place.
I kept telling Keith and his brother, I was like, what if we're the last people alive? What if we're the last people alive? Wouldn't that be cool? Like, because when you're there's nobody else around, and it's very easy to picture like you being the last people on. It almost looks very like, it looks apocalyptic, because it looks like you see like some structures every once in a while that look like they were underwater, at
Yeah.
one point. And
Yeah, you sat down in this weird cement tunnel looking thing that was just there.
the purpose of which I have no clue.
Yeah, no. And we're trying to piece together the weird environmental storytelling, like a video game of like, is this like a man-made lake, or like is it normally less watery or more watery than this?
It's like, why is there a bottle of antifreeze here? Why is there this? Why is there that?
I was bothered like that. At first I was like, okay, it's a bunch of beer bottles and cans and so on, and articles of clothing scattered around. But then I found like on our way back we saw like the giant tub of like detergent or whatever, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing out here? Who brought you out here? Why is this happening?
Well, near the end, so it got like precarious after a little bit because we wandered really far, and I don't think we realized how far we had wandered. And then
so we were looping around the entire lake.
Yeah, but we also were like
the
crossing
plan.
through it sometimes.
Yeah,
we were kind of crisscrossing around.
We're kind of wandering, but also kind of exploring, like climbing straight up this hill and back down, and picking up Kiki because she can't deal with the terrain, so we're carrying her around and putting her back down when it's flat again.
We had to climb up like a mountain with a drainage pipe.
The winter sunset kind of snuck up on us.
Yeah, so at one point,
which did have a highlight to it, which is we got to that one clay looking like stream thing that was like, because the soil was so soft, it was just carving down into the soil like several feet. And so it was really jagged.
The water was like rust,
the edges were all jagged. Yeah, and
rust red.
The actual
underneath.
path of it was like this like bright orangey red color. That was all neat. And I turned around and I took that really good photo of like the sunset in the reflection of the lake with all the weird stump trees sticking up everywhere, like some sort of album cover wallpaper or something.
It was a really pretty pretty picture.
But then it's dawning on us like, oh,
well, it was
the sun's going
that
down,
point where,
and we're on the opposite side of the entire
yeah, your brother's
lake,
like,
and we didn't bring flashlights.
There's a waterfall over there. You want to go look at it? And I was like, no. I was like, we have to go, you guys. We have to go. Like I was like,
yeah,
because normally I'd be like, oh, whatever, right? But I have this dog. I have my dog.
Yeah.
And I was like, and she's got one eye anyway, and I don't think she can see very well at night. She kind of gets skittish at night anyway.
Yeah. So we hastily kind of like sat down and had that refreshing ass lemonade and those sandwiches that my brother made.
I brought Kiki a snack too,
because we were well overdue to eat at that point, and then we just had to book it. And it quickly became actually dark out.
Well, there was a part where we had to realize that we had to get onto like a main path before it got 100% dark, because where we were, there's no way we could have seen, like, we were in the riverbed still, and there was like a river. We're in the lake bed, and there was like an actual river cutting through the lake bed that's actually pretty wide, to where we had some sketchy moments trying to get us and the dog across it. But like, there's no way we could traverse that in the dark. And so I was like, we need to get over to that before it gets dark, or else we're super, super fucked. And then we did, but there was no actual real path. It was like a very sketchy path. With like ice covering half of it, so we couldn't see half the path.
Even when we found the path, it was questionable whether or not the path was helping at all, really,
or even if we were on it.
Yeah, because it was so, we had no color to go by, so it was just walking on terrain and thinking that the most clear part might be the path that was supposed to be there. Because like when I first got on it, it was like kind of apparent that there was a path there, and that apparent path lasted like 20 feet.
Yeah.
And then immediately it's like, here's a bunch of random like fallen trees and rocks and ice everywhere. But importantly, my brother had decided he wanted to bring this giant branch that he found that was like
giant.
It was like 6 feet tall and conspicuously shaped like a car, where it had like one big lump, then a little ripple in the middle, then a smaller, like more flat lump.
We're not just talking like a normal branch. We're talking like a branch that is as like the girth of this branch was like a liter soda bottle.
Yeah, no, it was huge.
Yeah, it was like not like a little sticky branch. We're talking about like a big ass fat.
And it was like that kind of like nice looking wood, because he wanted to put it in a
fish tank,
like in a future fish tank that he's planning, because it's bigger than all the ones he has so far.
So
he's carrying this the whole time,
but it's all polished
while we're walking in the dark.
The water polished it, so it's like it's really nice and smooth. It's actually really nice, but it's like heavy, and I'm like, are you sure you want to carry this back in the dark?
And he called me stubborn during that trip at one point, and I'm like, yep, that's me. As he carries this fucking branch in the pitch black for like an hour and he can't see his own feet.
And then at one point he slips on the ice and we're all worried.
And he said that he hit the back of his own head, and I'm like, that's bad. You should stop carrying this branch. But he was on a mission.
I was like, I gotta get my dog home. I'm gonna kill you guys. I get my dog home. My poor dog.
But no, we hit a point where we're trying to like tell where the path is at all. If there even is one. For all we know, that we're imagining a path, and there never even was one for most of it.
Well, we saw a bunch of like Blair Witch Project style buildings everywhere, and you could tell they were like maybe like summer houses of people. But I was worried someone was gonna come out and like yell at us or something, because they were. That
would have been helpful. They could have told us where to go.
But they were all like, it was some scary boonies cabins looking kind of stuff. Like,
they think they would come at us.
Well, I don't know. We kept like, we're basically walking through their yards. Yeah. They weren't even yards. They were just like on the sides of mountains and cliffs and stuff. We're just kind of walking in front of their property and like traversing around different weird areas. I don't know.
Like, eventually what we had to do is we had the kind of horror movie set up where none of us brought flashlights and we didn't have reception out there. So while it was pitch black and all sorts of lights were gone because we're nowhere near civilization, and there wasn't even a moon.
No.
Straight up wasn't a moon. Like, we could not have timed this more poorly to not bring flashlights.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say.
So two of us.
No lights anywhere.
So Stephanie and I brought out our cell phones and we're using our cell phone flashlights, and that's about all we had to go on. We're
just watching our battery.
Yeah, we're just watching the numbers drain over time, and my battery's not great, so I was definitely not gonna last forever. I think I lost 15% or something, and I started at like 30, so it wasn't great. Like the drive home, I was at a 12 or something, so like that could have gotten bad. We could have been down to 3 people and a dog having 1 light collectively.
Yeah.
And my brother was carrying the giant like 6-foot stick thing while wanting to lead for some reason. So he's in the front with the lights. The only light source is behind him.
But he was gonna fight off enemies for us. He said,
falling on his ass or being at risk. But we eventually slowly cobbled our way back, and also like that like lunch and lemonade and everything was like so refreshing after how exhausting the day was when we had them right before the sunfall. But there was that neat horror detail where we were getting closer and closer to the place where I parked my car, and I could hit the lock button and the red light would shine through the darkness.
Through the distance, there's like one little tiny red light. We're like, it's over that way.
We would just see one red light coming through the trees, and it's like, here it comes. Because it looks like this is how we die. That thing comes and finds us.
Well, the thing that was like that last horror movie moment that almost gave me a freaking heart attack was we're in the parking lot, which is completely abandoned except for our one car, and we're in there in the dark trying to figure things out, and then this truck like out of nowhere just pulls into the parking lot real slowly and drives past us and then goes forward and then makes a fucking U-turn and then drives past us again, and I'm just like, the whole time I'm just like, hell no, this guy's gonna fucking kidnap us.
Yeah, he passed us 3 times.
Yeah, and then he left, and then he came back again, and I was like, oh no, like, oh no, like my kidnapped sensors were like beep beep beep, like nope, abandoned parking lot at night.
Zoinks, my die in the forest sense is tingling.
And then I had to pee, so there's like a bathroom like way off in the distance that's the scariest looking fucking thing in the world, and I was actually like, I was being cool, but that actually really freaked me out. Like I like walking over there, I was like I was like, then when I right before I opened the bathroom door, and I'm like, I hope like there better not be some person huddling in this bathroom. I'm gonna fucking have a heart attack and die.
This is how I die. This is the end, as was promised by the fates. But no, we made it.
Abandoned forest bathroom.
I had a late night. Went to the got home and showered finally after a few hours. And then we went to that
we went to a diner.
Yeah, we went to a 24-hour diner place with this one waitress that just came by like 8 times to complain about her job.
Yeah, she'd seen us in there before.
She was like heavily venting was like, okay, this is starting to wear thin at some point.
Yeah, no, she was like, she just like, that other person's rude, blah blah blah. I think we're the only, like, almost the only people in there, so I think she was just talking to us about stuff. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, all right.
Just waiting for a shift to end.
Can I more water though? Like,
can you take orders too? Also, please. Had a late night breakfast omelet, which was nice.
I had some pancakes.
Yeah.
Which I don't usually get, but really like hit the spot at that moment. And then jalapeno poppers, which was a weird combination, but it worked really good.
Yeah.
I was into it.
Everything's good food when you're tired. There's no wrong answers.
Well, that sandwich was like, when we were eating it in the middle, looking at some beautiful view, sitting on a boulder, all eating food together. I felt very serene, and that sandwich tasted really delicious to me at that moment, even though it was squish and inherently technically a mediocre sandwich, but it was really good.
Technically a mediocre sandwich.
I was sharing it with loved ones, and it was just really beautiful. I had a really great time.
Yeah, that was a good day.
I felt like we had a really great sense of camaraderie because we could have been in danger.
Yeah,
but we're all in it together.
Physically going through a thing and exhausted and so on. It was definitely not what I expected of my day. My day just became a different day unexpectedly, and then that was my entire day. I'm like, all right, good day.
And my dog did so good. I was so proud of her. She like was hopping up rocks like a little billy goat, and she just was a trooper. Poor thing, walked so far. She's been like tuckered out the past 2 days. She's asleep right now.
Yeah.
But she was really good. She wore a little sweater and it was really cute.
You can just look back at her and be like, don't ever say, don't ever do anything for you. An all-day adventure.
I had to carry her around a little bit. Keith's brother had to carry her over a river by hopping on rocks, and I was like really scary. I was like, don't drop my dog. But no, I love hanging out with you guys.
There was that treacherous moment of like, we got to get it back. It's about to be pitch black outside. We got to get away from the dangerous part of the lake, and then we reach that one river, and it's like, oh
yeah, this river.
No.
The river was like fairly wide. It was like maybe 15 feet wide.
And it was like rushing
but yeah, it was rushing
risky.
And gushing. And if you fall in, you're gonna hit your head on some rocks and stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the rocks were slick with water, so it's like
we're trying to figure out how to cross with the three of us and a dog.
And it was getting dark out.
There was a kind of like a time constraint. Yeah.
And there were some jumps that I was like, I could probably make that, but there's no way my dog can make that. And I don't think I can make that with the dog. So it was like I was trying to like figure out what to do. If it had come to it, I would have like stayed there with Kiki overnight. We'd huddle together.
Just hang out.
Yeah.
Just hug it out. I mean, you'd make it.
Yeah.
There's not, unless like a predator shows up. There's not a lot of risk, and frankly, we've gotten rid of most of those. There's not a lot of living things in the United States these days.
You said you saw some coyote footprints, right?
Yeah, but those are probably old too, though. Because specifically, it was in the cement. So I was like, oh, that's funny, because they had laid out all the cement for all these paths they tried to make, which are now crumbled and like obliterated. All you see is like chunks of them
by like tree roots and stuff.
Yeah, like it's so none of it survived. But yeah, you can see like there's like animal prints in some of the cement, because like you just would have to put the cement out and then just like deal with it if animals just decided to like walk through that in the middle of it existing. So I definitely saw like dog style prints of whatever style. Maybe it was somebody's dog, or maybe it was a coyote or a wolf or whatever.
We'll say coyote.
We don't have any wolves, do we?
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Not around here.
Yeah, so it's probably a coyote, maybe. I've seen coyotes around. When I used to drive around Rancho Cordova in the back roads that I'd have to take to get to like Sam's Club and the theater that I'd go to, I would just see, hey, I got a star.
Yay!
I would just see coyotes around, like just roaming. They just get out of the road, but you see them like on the side of the road, kind of just staring you down as you like blazed by.
You're not all talk, that's for sure. So fuck it, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Part of the UCA.
Yeah,
Fuck
bro.
it.
Yeah, bro.
Now I do it a second time, because the first one was the network and the second one's the UCA. These mean different things, but I've kind of lost track of what the difference is. I guess the one is the one where people you just benefit from people while being a leech, and the other one is you actually join the network or something, or in the organization. But that doesn't seem to actually expect any of them, so I'm still not sure what that means anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're like watching the same scene twice, like it's confusing.
There's a lot about this game you could probably say the same thing. Well, so the UCA is the United Cities of America.
Yeah.
Apparently, and the network is the network within the United Cities of America.
Got something I thought you could use.
Like,
Take it if you want.
Is that Gerard, the completionist?
and, you know, honestly, that's what when I saw his, like, he looks like him. Oh my god! Oh my gosh, are you serious? It's cute! It's really cute!
Oh no!
Thank you, Sam. Let's do this again.
Now you could be a real bruh.
Bruh. To be a real bruh.
I've actually known the people with the monster logo tattoos before.
On purpose?
Yeah. And the lifted trucks and the
Oh, no.
the flat build hats that,
Oh, no.
that are white because they don't
All
want
these
to
things.
they don't want to get dirty. And I'm like, why do you get a freaking white hat if you don't want to get dirty?
Yeah.
But then they wear polo shirts and they're rich because their parents are rich and they drive their lifted trucks around and say, bruh, let's get yoked.
Bruh.
Yep.
Let's get yoked.
Let's get yoked. Yeah.
Unacceptable.
I used to be a boss
Alright.
person to a bunch of
Gotta go take a nap again, I
a
think.
bunch of young guys who were all like this, and I was just like their like mother.
They wear tap out shirts.
I was their work mom, and I would tell them they were stupid for.
Isn't that part of the... That's part of the, uniform, essentially, for that personality type, is like a tap out shirt
Yeah.
and a backwards baseball cap and a buzz cut or a bald head.
Yeah, I used to work for Fox Racing, so that's the demographic.
You used to work for Fox Racing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, yeah, I was an assistant manager of a store, which is funny because I've never ridden a dirt bike before. Ha 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 ha! I tricked everyone. I got promoted. I'd never ridden a dirt bike.
And then all of the nose rings came back.
Oh, well, see, that one I didn't have to do anything with because my
Because they was like, it was their aesthetic.
no, because my boss really liked me.
Like already?
Yeah.
Before he got hired or
My
something? Or what?
boss, yeah, I liked him. He's a really nice guy. But I remember him saying specifically, I decided to hire you already before you came in here. I saw your pictures on Facebook. And I was like, okay. He's like, this is supposed to be an interview, but we're just going to talk about stuff. And I was like, okay.
I saw what you look like.
Yes.
So I don't need to think about... I don't need to figure out who you are as a person.
It's a bad, yeah.
That's not how interviews are supposed to work at all. Not even like on like the I mean, it's not nepotism, but like the vague like guaranteed job thing is always questionable. But just the part where it's like he's not gonna like check you for like whether or not you're actually a good employee.
Yep.
Is interesting.
Well, I technically came with a recommendation of someone that we both know, but I remember him saying that specifically, and I was like, okay.
Huh.
I mean, it's a hard world out there, ladies. Watch out. This, you know, like this guy was really nice. He's just goofy, but
there's like a lot of context.
yeah, that kind of discrimination is really not okay.
There's a lot of context where that would seem very questionable.
No, we ended up getting
Including that
along
one,
really well.
probably.
Actually, eventually, I had to tell him. I became his assistant manager over time. I got promoted a few times again, and I had to tell him to stop hiring all these cute girls because they were cute but they didn't do any work.
Oh yeah.
So I was like,
you were the one time you're like the one time it worked out.
I was like, you lucked out that I did work. Like, these girls you're hiring aren't doing any work. Quit hiring cute girls.
So he was kind of bad at his job, is what it sounds like.
He's a sweet guy. He's good at his job in certain ways. He's very charismatic.
But not the hiring process.
But I ended up hiring a lot of people picking people from them then on out, and so I ended up with all these little goofy young boys who were good workers, but they were also kind of dumb. And I gave them relationship advice all the time.
You're raising them.
And they always ask me, they're like, "Why do you work here?"
What?
Well, because they were like, "This isn't like your scene, is it?" And I'm like, "No."
It's a job.
I was like, "No, you know, I do really well. I made a ton of money in sales. I was like really good at like pretending. Like, you're more kind of a hippy dippy person. What are you doing at this like?"
It's retail.
This place.
Most retail jobs are comparable.
Yeah, but I should know something about dirt biking to sell like gloves and goggles and stuff.
Just smile.
Yeah, I would
And
just
sell things.
I would just like tell people I'd be really honest and be like, yeah, so there's a really good, you could buy this jacket, but there's also this jacket that's on clearance, and you could do like buy two get one free with the clearance, and it's like this jacket is even cooler and it's cheaper, and so people really liked that because I would level with them all the time.
Like when I had my Best Buy job, like I knew video games, but like I was very quickly out of my depth immediately with like, I don't know things about cameras, and I definitely don't know things about car radios, and those were my department. Because portable electronics featured it featured all media, so all CDs and DVDs and Blu-rays and so on, all MP3 players, all cameras, all video game consoles and devices, and all car like stereos and CD players and sound systems. And I'm like, those are not really a connected series of things.
Yeah, no, that's a really broad range.
Yeah, because the other departments there was a computer department that was just computers. That's all those people worked with. There was the phones people that just worked phones. There was the TV people that just did TVs and home theater systems. And then there was the appliances people that just did appliances, like washing machines and refrigerators, which I didn't even know was a department in Best Buy until I got hired there. And now, and every now and then I realize, I look at that, I'm like, oh yeah, that has just always been here, huh? I never registered that. But portable electronics was just every other department. It was like an X across the entire, yeah, our department was like an X across the store from wall to wall, corner to corner. We had like most of the corners and stuff like that, and a diagonal through the whole shop was our department, but it was like wrapping around several other entire departments that were those people were just there. So you had to walk across the store over and over again and just try to like find customers. It was a mess. They also never trained me at all on what any of those on how to learn things about those departments. So in case anyone's surprised, like not in the know, Best Buy employees basically don't know shit about any of the things in their own store because the company doesn't even bother training them about the stuff for the most part. So I took it upon myself to research how cameras work more and more while I was there, but I never learned about car stereos at all for the whole year and a half I was there. And I would mostly just try not to have to do any work there and try to focus on the other parts of the department and let the other coworker I had do that particular one whenever a customer was there, because I genuinely didn't know what I was doing. And I worked there for a year and a half, and the company never did anything about that.
That's like one of the places I really couldn't, like most places, I mean, and maybe I could, but like most places I can fake it until I make it, and that's kind of how I've done everything.
I never wanted to do that job. I applied for your job. I wanted to work in the warehouse. I wanted to be stocking. I just wanted to carry shit around and do busy work, because like until then my main job had been being an upholstery worker. So like I just wanted to work with my hands and stay busy and burn through my shift quickly. I didn't want to stand around and try to find customers and try to make small talk.
They thought you were too charming.
That's the thing. So I'm convinced that I nailed my fucking interview too well. So that, because what they did is they interviewed me, but then they called me back in, and a different person interviewed me for a completely different department, and I'm like, oh fuck.
It's because you're smart.
I walked in and I wasn't yoked enough to carry boxes around. So they're like, this guy says words a lot. We should make him be the sales associate. I'm like, no, don't.
It's because you're articulate and you're polite and you're smart. That's why.
Hate
if you were like some brute asshole, then they'd stick you in the warehouse. That's where they stick me. I'm just kidding.
I would often try to do a good job, and
I was like,
and it sucked because they would ask me a question, and instead of just like trying to sound smart and immediately answer them, I'd actually like pause for a second and think about it, and there was a lot of rude people that just be like, in just a 1 second of pause, they'd be like, come on, let's go find someone who actually knows what they're talking about, and they just take off, and I'm like, all right, well, you're not gonna find anyone else because I'm the only person working this entire department today, which is 5 departments. That's me. So I'd like they'd get there and I'd be there too, like I'm fucking Officer Jenny. Like it'd just be another copy of me, like, hi, I'm all you've got.
Officer Jenny.
And I got some really confusing questions, like people coming in and asking me about, like, where do you get the stand that lets you, where do you get the stand for the 360? No, there's the stand for the Wii that lets you lay it down. And I'm like, I was just kind of dumbfounded. I'm like, gravity? Gravity? Like it's a long console. Laying down is its default state. I don't You don't need a stand. That's not what stands are for. Do they want a convertible stand that would like have a servo arm that would like morph back and forth?
When I go to like a place like Best Buy, I'm really apologetic because, like, I'm aware
Those poor workers are tortured.
Well, no, not like that. I mean, there's like a lot of places where I'm very aware that although I think I'm a smart person, there's like a lot of things I just don't know anything about. And it's like Best Buy, I don't know anything about any of that stuff at all. If I go to a hairstylist, I don't know anything about hair. I don't know how it works. There's certain things I'm just really aware that I don't know.
Well, the hair fairy visits you at night. And she gives you extensions.
Oh, is that what? Well,
she steals your green.
Maybe I haven't.
As penance.
Oh gosh. Maybe I haven't been very good because she took all the hair off the side of my head.
Oh no.
But so like when I go to Best Buy, I'm like such a pathetic little like, because I just know I'm like these people. I just gotta like I gotta be honest and just tell them I don't know anything, and maybe they can just salvage my soul. So I'm just like, I'm really sorry, I don't know anything about this. Can you help me? I'm gonna describe something to you. I'm sorry, it's not gonna be very helpful, but can you please help me? I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm like, no, I really don't know what I'm like. I really like. They're like, oh, like this. I'm like, no, even dumber. Say it even dumber. And they're like this. I'm like,
yeah,
even dumber. The dumbest way you could say it, please.
I liked helping people, and like I spent a lot of time like helping grandmas like pick out video games for their kids and grandkids and stuff like that. And like I had a lot of time. I in particular just really enjoyed the video game department and just like talking to people about things and helping them find what they wanted to know. And I just knew a lot about the games that were like coming out, because for me the AAA shit is all like baby shit, because I'm beyond that and I'm doing all the weird indie stuff that you can't buy in Best Buy. So I'm like, yeah, that stuff. Yeah, I know about that. Blah, blah, blah. And I could just fill people in on like all these details, but I was so dumbfounded by the stand that lets you lay down the Wii, where I was like, I can't tell what you're asking for. It was such a moment of like, this is the most confusing question I've received.
Sometimes one of the hardest things about working in retail that I think people should have a lot of respect for, you don't realize it until you work in retail, is you have to be really, sometimes someone will ask you something and it takes you have to take a lot of patience to not let them know that it was a stupid question.
Yeah,
it'll be like the dumbest question in the whole world, but you don't want to make them feel bad, but it's so dumb that sometimes you can't even understand how to answer it in a coherent way.
Yeah, you're
like, where do I start with this? The thing that makes me the most frustrated is when people have no clue what they want and they just ask you what they should get, but like it'll be like there's so many options that they'll be like, oh well, what should I get? And I'm like, well, what kind of thing do you want? It's like, I don't know, just tell me what I should get. And I'm like, well, what color? Like it could be like, oh, like a shirt. It's like, do you want a short sleeve shirt? I don't know, just tell me what I should get. And I'm like, well, what color do you like? I don't know. And I'm like, well, you just want me to pick a shirt for you, like
at a rando?
Okay, here. I don't like that. And it's like, oh, well.
Oh, I thought you were just going to accept whatever I threw at you.
Well, what?
You wanted to be free of decisions.
What don't you like about it? And I'll try to like work from there.
Like Fleabag.
And they're like, well, this feels too stiff. I'm like, okay. So I got it. So like soft shirts. So it's like, what about this one? It's like, well, that one's too flimsy. And it's like, well, okay. So what do I do? You gotta like work your way back from there.
Yeah.
But you gotta like, you just gotta be patient. Being patient is really important. Sometimes people have bad days, and sometimes people are like, maybe they're really nice people, but they just don't know a lot about that subject.
They're just helpless.
Like me at a Best Buy.
Yeah.
And so I think about that when someone comes and asks a really stupid question.
What sucks is that some places feel like they take advantage of you for not knowing the stuff well enough.
Well, then people like roll their eyes at you and like, oh, like if you go to an auto mechanic, I don't know anything about that either. That's what I was
thinking about. It's like when you're like, I'm in car trouble, I need to deal with this thing or that thing, and it feels like they're so happy to upsell you or to come up with new problems that you should deal with and so on. And it's really hard to tell which ones are genuinely like the doctor's trying to help you situations, or like which ones are them just trying to get as much money out of you as possible because you don't know what you're talking about and you just don't want your car to stop working because it'll fuck your life.
I just try to be really nice to those people because I'm hoping that maybe they'll take pity on me.
Car mechanics quickly talk me up into spending hundreds of dollars.
I'm just like,
because I'm like, I hope you're telling the truth about how important this is.
do you think I need this right now? Like, are you sure? Is that immediate? Can you tell me what this does? Like, I try to like be really nice, and I hope that they just like are honest with me. I think usually I can. And in worst case scenario, is I call my dad. I call my dad and I ask him.
No, I've done that too. It's like trying to ask my dad what to do with things because he's worked on cars his entire life and ran an auto upholstery store and so on. So it's like, is this bullshit or is this headlight like, is this real or headlight fluid? Like, is this real or not? Elbow grease and headlight fluid.
I say, I'm like, Dad, should this cost this much? Like, I ask him how much I think that something should cost, and he'll be like, oh, well, it probably costs about this. I'm like, okay, good. That's how much they charge me. That's about right.
Because there's parts about cars that sound fake, even when they're not fake. Like tire rotation. It sounds like a prank. It's like a fucking. It sounds like a convenience fee. You're like, we're gonna rotate your tires, and that'll cost this much or whatever the fuck. And it's like, you're gonna. The car does that. The car rotates the tires. Yeah, I don't think it needs your help.
You should go to a place and say that. I'm sure they would not. Yeah. I'm sure they wouldn't take advantage.
No, like I just was like, I just like nervously was like, haha, yeah, and then I like in the waiting room like was googling tire rotation because I had to learn like, oh, it's when you
they move the tires around.
The tires wear differently, so you change which ones are on which spots on the car so that you can the ones that are least worn now will get worn the most.
I would just love to see you say that to a real mechanic though.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's a funny joke.
If you just hear the words with no context and just believe them, you're just like, I don't know what the fuck is he saying? What the fuck is he saying?
Sir, they spin just fine. Thank you very much.
The tire rotation. The car does that. Should we do questions again?
Sure, if you have any.
There's a backlog of sorts. I swear to God, I just want this 5th star. It shouldn't be this hard. Krmine asks, has a critic for a movie, game, or any other media ever altered or perhaps updated your opinion of said media? An example would be a critic gave you preconceived notions of a game that notably changed your experience of the game, or if you gained more appreciation for a movie you initially disliked after gaining insight from a critic.
The only thing I'll say about that is that not necessarily in the way that you're referring to. I try very hard to separate these things, but I will say what really gives me insight is if I listen to a critique on something and they give me information on like the context, like if they give me stuff I didn't necessarily know, like maybe historical background or like something about the writer or the author, or like, hey, this song was actually inspired by this, it'll make me think of it differently, and maybe in kind of a special way. Sometimes it can be a negative if I already had like a preconceived idea as to what like a song or a movie or something was about, and then I hear that, oh, it was actually inspired by this. It just kind of changed my feelings about it sometimes because I can't ignore them now. But usually it's just getting context from a critic, or maybe they'll point out something like, it was actually really good how they did this, and I was like, oh, I didn't notice that. That's really cool. I'll notice like the cinematography of that specific part. But I don't think like their opinion on whether something was positive or negative has ever really affected my opinion, because usually I watch that afterwards and not before.
I got a wolf. I can add a wolf hologram to things now.
This guy had all the good stuff.
Like, yeah, it's like fucking Christmas.
He had
I got like 2 stars from that. I only have 1 little particle left to go. I thought we were going to be here for hours. I mean, we have been, but I thought we were going to be here for more hours, and it would be like, bye, Stephanie, we're out of time. I'm just going to awkwardly try to finish this last star.
Got something I thought you could use.
What's he got now?
Take it if you want.
It's often just resources at this point. I don't know.
Oh, I thought it was another monster can. Now you have 2.
Yeah. Because, yeah, he gave me a monster can and a Christmas hat and a wolf hologram so far.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
But then as you do more deliveries, the game has to have a resource economy, so they just kind of reward you with resources periodically so that you can still keep playing the game. Otherwise, all the resources would dry up. Damn. Romantic.
You keep coming by, bro.
But
You're the only thing
anytime, baby.
you're the only thing that makes me feel anymore, bro.
Oh. You come by later and he's like not wearing a shirt. He's like, oh, didn't notice you there.
Oh, bro, you're back.
I was just making some eggs.
Sorry, I'm just so used to being alone out here.
Do you want a breakfast? I'm making some.
But sometimes a really good like video essayist can like really attach a lot of feelings to a particular form of media that you didn't have before, because it's like their particular read on it can like add a lot to the experience. Oh, there's a thing for the first prepper right there. That might be the one. If I could just walk up to there.
Oh yeah.
Not a great path, but whatever. Oh my god, so far down.
Oh no. Maybe you'd be better back up. Can you go back up?
Can't see. It's like up there, I think. It might be easier if I go back up.
Because at least then you're
It's not great news either way.
not hiking upwards, I guess.
I try to keep track of it. But I think of like movies with Mikey did a really good video essay on The Last Jedi that added a lot to that. And then Lindsay Ellis did a video on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and tied it specifically to her relationship with her now deceased father, with like the elements of that, like the troubled fatherhood elements of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and so on, like the troubled legacy with them, and like that added a lot to those kinds of things. And the other direction, to be a stereotype, there's the I already knew that I probably liked the original Star Wars movies more than the prequels, but like I didn't have great ideas of how they were, what I didn't like about them, in part because it was like I grew up with them, because they came out when I was 9, 12, and 15, and so it's like I grew up with them, and it was like I was like too close to them, and I like specifically I've watched the Phantom Menace dozens of times. Like I've watched Phantom Menace more than any other Star Wars movie, because it was the one that came out when I was 9. And I'll still defend the song Duel of Fates, which is incredible. Duel of Fates is like the best song ever made, and the pod race is genuinely thrilling.
Yeah, it's really fun.
But there's a bunch of issues, like all the Senate scenes and the whole plot not making sense, and other elements. But like, it was the Red Letter Media like Plinkett review that like stood out to me. Like, oh, suddenly I can crystallize these ideas of like what's up with the. And you still never seen those before, have you? The Plinkett reviews of the Star Wars prequels. They're kind of like these feature-length comedy reviews of each of the 3 Star Wars prequels that kind of they went around for a while. Like they got a lot of attention, and basically launched the careers of all of those people that are on that channel.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I've heard of them. I've never seen them, but
Yeah.
I've heard they're like notorious, like famous, right?
They have that whole intro that's like, Star Wars The Phantom Menace, the most disappointing thing since my son. Well, my son eventually hanged himself. The sad fact is that Star Wars, the Phantom Menace will be around forever. It will never go away. Like that, it's that kind of dark, grim humor crossed with like
I like that.
hyper nerdy, like over analysis of stuff. Like he spends like a half an hour of a 70-minute review just discussing the number of things that are going wrong over the course of just the intro ship sequence. Like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan sitting down for tea, apparently, then getting poisoned, but then they stop poisoning them, then they cut through the door, and then like they take separate ships for some reason, but happen to land on the same part of the planet, and like just the billions of weird choices all the characters make, while it being all about like, wow, the Jedi are going to meet up to dispute trade regulations in orbit over a verdant planet. This is a great plot. Like it's like all the elements that are like so far gone from like A New Hope, and like why Star Wars is generally thrilling and interesting.
I think that I probably could only watch something like that about movies that I didn't really feel a lot for. Like,
Yeah.
like to be like not to be, like I also have a long history with Star Wars, and I've seen them a bajillion times. But I thought I could watch that, because at this point I'm kind of numb to a lot of it.
The prequels and stuff.
If something was really cathartic to me and really special, I probably couldn't watch a real review on it. It's probably maybe that's why I'm like able to retain like my feelings on certain things, because I would like refuse to watch a review of like Like I probably would never watch a review of like American Beauty
Yeah.
because I really wouldn't care.
It counted.
Did you get it?
I just got 5 stars. There's only one left. There's only one thing left to do, which is once you get the reputation with this guy, an audio log pops up on the cliff near him. So I need to find that, and then I'll have the platinum trophy.
Legend of Legends.
I have 143 of those.
Something I thought you could use. Take it if
You get Legend of Legends if you switch the difficulty to hard mode and then get an S rank on delivery. But specifically the one you hit the premium deliveries we never did, the harder version, like self-imposed hard mode on the delivery. I gave it last star.
Your pants are complete.
Yeah.
You might be the first thing to a friend I've gotten this week.
Aw.
Oh, he loves you.
But we'll have to try that sometime because you might get a kick out of those. But first we have to watch Better Call Saul Season 4 and Better Call Saul Season 5 and Mr. Robot Season 4 and Disenchanted Season 2. We have
Mr.
our
Robot,
to-do list. Look at the wolf. That's a pretty well modeled wolf, at least for a hologram.
I love Mr.
I gotta take my pants off. Or, not my pants, but carry on back. 'Cause you can't see him past the skeleton, the exoskeleton thing.
You know, that person asked earlier, like
What? Didn't I take you off?
The person asked earlier about what the weirdest thing I've ever walked in on was, but I think it was actually Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro in the shower.
In the shower.
Yeah.
There it goes. Look at all those stars. They're surprisingly hard to look at on camera, but it's all symmetrical now.
It's beautiful.
Left or right.
Look at your cool pants.
I think it's 30. I'm not sure. So it's like one for every single character in the game that has a base.
Oh.
They're all 5-starred. Took a goddamn eternity. Oh, he's petting his baby. That's what you do with babies. Is
You
them.
pet him, right?
Yeah. You go like, nice baby, scratch, scratch, scratch. And they're like, so there's 20 deliveries of every kind. Connect all facilities, which happened a little bit ago. Then reach maximum level with each one. That's the one we just got. Still only a silver. Maxing out your relationship with every single facility in the entire game. Fucking silver trophy. What the fuck? Death Stranding is bullshit. This is my only gold trophy. Is my 20 special deliveries.
What 2% are you missing?
Every category. So the last two.
No, 98%.
So there's the platinum, and then this one is there we go. Restore all memory chips.
Oh gosh.
So I just need to find the last memory chip that's like around here.
Oh, so that's the last one?
Yep. No, we're about to do this. Do you have any other statements about like critics or whatever? Will I Google this?
Everybody's a critic. Everyone's a critic.
But no, I think
If you can't write, then be a critic. I don't know.
Aw.
There's all those jokes about critics.
where they're just cruel, even though critiquing is like a completely different skill.
Well, critiquing is something
critic.
everyone inherently does.
But not well.
Not always well.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Let's see. Should be like right over here. Ooh. I think it's literally just at the top of this hill right here. So I'll have this like in like a second. So we're done. We did it. But the what are other ones? Sometimes it's just like sometimes I'll watch a show or a movie, especially shows where like you can fall into that like loop of like kind of sitting through with what like you know how people kind of just continually watch a show like out of habit almost.
Yeah.
And they kind of like they liked it at some point, but they kind of have this sense that they're like not resonating with it anymore, and it's not doing much for them. But they can't really say why. Sometimes a critic is really helpful for crystallizing whatever the fuck that feeling is.
So that's the other thing is if I'm at that point in a TV show with a plot, then I'm not watching it at that point.
Yeah.
If it doesn't resonate with me anymore, there's literally no point. I don't understand people who, like you watch shows all the time that you're done with at a certain point and you keep watching it, but I don't understand that at all. But like I only do that with shows that are mindless, like reality TV or something.
See, that's what I can't get.
Well,
is watching reality TV at all.
I put it on in the background because I don't like. I'm like a dog where it's
That's
like
what YouTube's for.
I need sound to not be lonely. I do that with YouTube too. It's the same thing to me. I just put it on in the background, and I'll text or be on my phone or look up stuff up on the computer or like write something or think about something, and it'll just be on in the background so I don't feel like it's lonely.
I can't find it, but it might be that like this area is so chaotically covered in like random shit that I can't see where it is. Because there's so many icons on the screen from all the like the clutter and even my own footsteps. This is difficult. But a good example of that was H Bomber Guy did a 3-hour video on Sherlock, the BBC show, and that really helped out because I was like, I remember like basically the first episode of that show was so compelling in like its production value and its characterization of its two main characters, like because it's got a Benedict Cumberbatch is playing Sherlock Holmes and Martin Freeman's playing Watson. I'm like, these are like two of the best actors I could see for a television show. Like I'd never expect them to be in a show because they're like beyond that kind of, even though I guess Freeman was in The Office, the UK version. Like they're such great actors that I was just so ready to love the show, and the production values were so good that it felt like a good show. You know what I mean? Like all the elements were there that seemed like a really good show. But then as you go on, it's like, well, the first episode's pretty good, and then you keep going and you're like, I don't know.
See, that never happens to me.
I'm really like not feeling it, and I don't know what's happening. It's supposed to be right the fuck here, and it's pissing me off. I might have to like go down the zip line.
Are you sure it's not on the opposite side?
I can't tell.
Like I feel like the angle.
Doesn't that look like the picture?
I can't. Well, the snow's kind of in the way. I can't tell. Oh yeah, it looks like it's right.
Yeah, it's like looks supposed to be like right here. I'm gonna go down to Edgar Wright and sleep in his house, and that might reset the world state. Might be what's necessary. I don't know.
What if like the game, you just can't finish the game and it's like having a puzzle with the one piece missing?
That would crush me. I'd be very sad. The missing puzzle and a puzzle piece. No. But his video did a good job pointing out like the messes that are like how in a like overall like the show Sherlock cheats. Like you don't get to experience the mystery and the details surrounding the mystery at the same rate that Sherlock does. He often basically cheats at solving riddles by being like, oh yeah, my network of homeless people solved this problem, blah blah blah. Or like sometimes it's so much built around like the interpersonal drama and like basically the show flexing on how fucking cool and superhumanly smart Sherlock is in like a Rick sort of way, that like the mystery often gets solved almost as like an afterthought of the episode, and like it's so much glitz and glamour to make these 90-minute like feature-length episodes that are basically movies with all those production values and characterizations and stakes that like the show fundamentally always falls apart. But one of the things that happened though is actually like that show had a weird moment. It's hard to explain, but like they got a 4th season eventually, and the 4th season's finale was so astronomically bad that it actually like kind of woke up its own audience. Like its own audience was like, wait, no, this was bad. This episode was very bad. And then they started like trying to like reconcile that with the rest of the show, and they started to realize, no, wait, this show was always bad. And I made it 4 seasons in, but like this one,
see, I can't relate to that at all.
The season 4 finale was so astronomically bad, but weirdly coherent and consistent with the rest of the show's structure and so on, but just in a weird, overtly bad way that had never quite happened before. Where it's like, basically, it was basically the equivalent of like watching all these shows and movies where J.J. Abrams starts something, then runs away, and somebody else has to finish it. But then J.J. Abrams had to turn around and finish it with like Rise of Skywalker, like that what we had to sit with through.
See,
like,
that's why I shouldn't listen to you anymore.
Like
You're gonna keep recommending things like that.
I didn't recommend that. I did not recommend Rise of Skywalker.
You made me watch it.
We watched a movie that we'd never seen before together, and it was a disaster.
Yeah,
and I was not. I wasn't like, wow, check out this cool movie that's great.
Yeah, but I should have had the same. I should have had the same feeling like I get with TV shows, where as soon as if I don't feel it, I just don't continue. Yeah. I would have never gotten to this point if I had just done what I do with TV shows, and I would never be in a 4th season of a show if I didn't like. It would just never ever happen.
It was a weird thing where like a lot
the
of people.
first episode where I'm just like, no, I don't feel it.
Sherlock's a really weird case where a lot of people convinced themselves that they liked it.
But you do that with a lot of shows.
It's a lot of different cases. Like for me, like all the superhero shows like Flash and stuff and Gotham, because I don't really watch the other ones. I just watch Shield. I do think Agents of Shield's genuinely good.
Have you seen The Boys?
But I've seen The Boys.
I like that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. But I think Agents of Shield's genuinely good. But I think I watch Flash and Gotham the way that you watch reality TV, where I actually like half pay attention and stuff like that. So it's kind of disposable. And like with Walking Dead, it's also kind of disposable content, but it's also like I keep up with it, and then I can like talk to my family about it and stuff like that, because it's like the only thing we both watch and things like that. Sherlock's one of the only things that's like specifically something I was watching of my own drive that I wasn't quite feeling, but I was also kind of sticking with and so on. And it was such a weird case because like it did such a good job of giving off the appearance of being a great show via like its production values and star power and so on, and it's like snappiness, and it's like it had a really fast pacing, so it's like you could like kind of get lost in it and not think about it. But its finale of season 4, which is probably a series finale, I kind of imagine that the show might have canceled itself by having that episode happen, which is like astonishing. But like it kind of rode that momentum that I had for so long, and then that finale was so mind-numbing and confusing and baffling at like how it even happened and how anyone could greenlight this and think it's a good idea, that like it was like universally reviled in a way that the show had never been before. And that was when people started having to like go back and question, like, hang on, what have I been watching for 4 seasons now? Which I'll remind you, these seasons are only 3 episodes long. They're not like
okay, that's a little bit better, but still
they're only 3 episode seasons, and they're like, it's like an event, like, BBC Sherlock is back, it's been 3 years again. Like it's always like years apart from each other, and they're like these big snappy action packed like high production value very fast paced episodes with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, so you can really get swept up in it and think that it's like,
see, production value never fools me. I never like production value means nothing.
Well, I don't mean like CG. I mean like cinematography.
Well, even that.
Like sometimes they do weird shit. They filmed a wedding. The same. Like they filmed like one of the weird, more garish elements they did is they filmed a wedding using the same technology that Wachowski's used to film The Matrix. Like they did the 360 camera setup and so on, just because they could, because so much money was going into that project. So they would do like the still frame rotating perspective thing.
I think the only show where I naturally notice. No, you know what? Never mind. I was gonna say cinematography is very important.
Yeah,
Mr. Robot is the show I think of all the time, because each episode has the same director, which is like unheard of for TV shows, and the direction is so great. It'd be right at home in a feature length film, like a theater film.
Yay. I'm gonna walk down.
Whee! Woo! That's walking down, alright.
Woo! Woo! Celebration tumble! Oh god!
Oh no!
Didn't take any damage. Because generally those tumbles only break your cargo, and I don't really have any I care about. Even BB is mostly fine. It's just like a funny tumble for him. I did it. But fucking yeah, H Bomber got to a 3-hour fucking review that just broke down the basic structural messes that were always there the whole time. And he and the Plinkett reviews do something that's uniquely special, which is that they don't just make a thing that's like giving you information and perspective and a different like take on the whole thing, but it's also like really effective comedy. So it's just an entertaining thing in its own right. So sometimes one of the weird warped things I have fallen into is that sometimes I'll watch something specifically just because I know that a channel I like made a big video on it, and I want to know the thing and then watch the thing itself, because that video will actually be entertaining enough that it'll warrant the through line of even sitting through the thing that's based on to get the context.
You crazy.
There are video essays I've watched multiple times.
You're crazy.
Like a lot of them. I've rewatched the Plinkett reviews for the Star Wars movies multiple times. I've watched the I watched H. Bomber Guy's 2-hour video on Pathologic at least twice. I watched the Sherlock one three plus times. I watched the Lindsay Ellis video on Guardians of the Galaxy 2 probably like 3 times.
But you could use all that time to watch actual good new things.
Yeah. Well, in these cases, there are things that run. They run in the background because I have video essays run a lot, but those are ones I find myself revisiting periodically. Like Shammy has a big video on the Surge that I've probably sat through 4 times, and a video on Overwatch that I've probably sat through twice now, and those are like each like an hour long. But like they run in the background when I'm like editing or doing other things and so on, because the visuals are mostly just like a bunch of gameplay footage that reinforces their point that I don't have to actively look at and so on. So I just turned in my last data chip. Is it gonna be it? Uh oh.
Oh no.
What does that mean? Uh-oh.
Oh
Oh no. What does it mean?
yeah, was that not? Do you have to like look at it or listen to it?
I already
or?
clicked on it to be sure. So I have all 50 of these, which by the way, there's like, let's see, there's a Godzilla, Christine, Stand By Me is here.
Stand By Me.
Big Fish is here.
I love Big.
Fright
I
Night.
love Big Fish.
7 Samurai, The Bridge of Everquay.
I love that one.
Dr.
I love that one too.
And there's Valhalla Rising, Nicholas Winding Refn's Wicked Die Young, My Life, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, the God of War soundtrack for some reason, the Bronson soundtrack. There's some stuff in here. Like it went in places, but it's mostly just like, yeah, like media that's been preserved. Okay, so I have 53. Is there like a super secret final one that unlocks when you have all the other ones, and that's the one you have to find last? I have 55. 56.
Oh.
Part 3. Oh, I need Unknown Man Journal Part 1. At the entrance to the ruined shelter crater. We've got one last journey to go on. It's the place where I did the cool thing with the ladder.
Oh yeah.
I just got to go back there and find the one last one. I guess it's that everything else was media. Everything else was like in my menu as like a bunch of question marks, I guess, because it was like the media that everyone was like waiting for to find. Like it was like, this is what Fragile's missing, and this is what Dead Man's missing, and this is
But
what
like
Die
the
Hard's
unknown
missing.
journals are like not expected media pieces.
Yeah, nobody's asking for those. It's the secret journals you can find of Higgs. And I found 2 and 3, but I guess we never found 1. We found 2 naturally while we were playing. And when I found Higgs's little hate room, I found in there was number 3. That was supposed to be the conclusion, but we never found 1, which was just sitting there in this crater we already went into.
Well, it's probably because we took a weird way.
Well, it's not even just that. When I went through and found all these memory chips, a lot of them were in places we've already blatantly looked at and been at. The problem is that you have to be within a very close radius, and then you have to scan in order to get an icon to pop up. This game has an issue where... Oops, I wasn't there yet. Content. I don't know how I didn't fall off. This game has an issue where the... if you're in a vehicle or you scan in general, it doesn't pick up memory chips. It's like this scan I normally do, that's like a pretty big radius, and you can see like boxes across the horizon and stuff like that of like cargo I could go pick up. It doesn't seem to have the same rule for memory chips. Like you have to be like right on them. They're like hard to find. But then there's the additional layer, which is that whenever I scan, there can be like 50 things that pop up as a result. And so like you won't even notice the memory chip even if it does show up, because it's just so much clutter. And so we just completely, like I was just walking right by them and not noticing them. In part because, yeah, you can scan and it'll just be like, here's 5 billion items. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll totally notice that one of those icons is a little memory card. When I'm already mentally filtering out like the 50 pieces of cargo I don't care about picking up and stuff like that. It's mixed. And like there's the icon for the bridge on the bridge that you can see. Like you can already see the bridge, but here's an icon for the bridge just in case. And like like every time you scan, like 12 things pop up. That's just a lot.
It's just visual clutter.
So you just filter it out a lot.
That makes sense.
Enough of that was happening early on that there was parts early on in the playthrough where like a tutorial would pop up and neither of us would notice the tutorial and read it because
I glance over tutorials all the time.
yeah, because it's just like some more text on a screen that's always got more text on it. And it's just a lot to take in. But this is actually convenient because it's I wanted to end this near here too. Because I wanted to go to Higgs's hideout and show you that.
Oh, cool.
And then I wanted to do the BB thing there. And then we'd close it out.
BB.
BB. Sorry, this has taken an eternity. Even I wasn't fully prepared for how long it was going to take to get 5 stars. And then abruptly he's like, here's 2 stars at once. Fuck it, I gave up. Like, it just, the torrent opens and they're like, nah.
Wow. Wow, that took an extra minute.
That was some popping. I've noticed that though with these guys, they're like, you can't make progress with them and you keep going to sleep and getting another email and going to sleep and getting another email. It's just this annoying process. And then abruptly, like, the fucking dam just breaks open and they just give you 5 stars and you're like, thanks for making me wait. The fun news is there's no stakes. So when I go in here, I don't have to worry about any cargo. I just go to the drive, pick it up, and then leave.
That is kind of like freeing.
And I have no equipment on me to make me clumsy. And I'm just gonna casually walk in here. But there will be BTs. Probably. Because this is that BT place. I don't think they really cycle out with the weather.
Well, that sign says BTs right there.
Yeah. It turns out those signs can be really useless. Because sometimes they point to areas as being BT areas. But it's like a zone where, like, the weather changes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's only... Oh, there it is. Right here. Didn't even have to go inside.
Wow.
Alright, just gotta turn that in real quick and we'll have the platinum trophy. And then I'll go make BB happy in Higgs's anger room. You can see how fucking petty and sad Higgs was. Is or was? I think he's dead.
Yes, yeah, I guess so. I was gonna say, I really didn't really
I think it was confirmed that he died off camera. Because Fragile had him at her mercy, and then she later says that she gave him a gun, and we did hear a gunshot.
Oh yeah.
And so at the time when you heard the gunshot, I think you would assume that Fragile killed him, but then she says that she basically took the highway out and so on. So she handed
him a metaphor.
It was still a confusing ultimatum because it was like, here's the ultimatum. You can either kill yourself or you can remain trapped in this dream. And it's like, but isn't this that other character's dream? Like he can't stay here, or even if he does, they can expel them just like they expelled everybody else. So I don't know. I don't know. It's,
you know, the plot line of this game, I don't know. I don't know. Does Kojima know? I don't even know if he knows.
Just give me the goddamn platinum trophy, you son of a bitch. Just give it to me. Just give it to me.
Thank you for your contribution.
Give it to me.
Give it to me. Oh!
100% Death Stranding. I don't have a lot of 100%s. There we go. Restore all memory chips.
This is genuinely an impressive one.
And then the Great Deliverer. The greatest of great deliverers. I got 100% in the Sojourn. Then like nothing else. It's not a thing I do these days anymore. That was a different me from a different era that used to do this. I did 100% in Soma, but I don't think it was very hard. I think you just had to beat it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think I've ever 100%ed.
Like on purpose, something. Torrent. That was like 2014 or something. I think I 100%ed Lords of the Fall. Yeah, I got the platinum trophy for Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor, but then DLC came out. Like that's like the previous example before this one of me actually like maxing out an open world game because it's such an undertaking usually.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I did Lords of the Fallen. Yeah, that was a Dark Souls style game, and then DLC came out, so it only has I have the platinum trophy, but it doesn't say 100% anymore because DLC will come out and just take it from me. But yeah, it was relatively rare. All these 100%s down here predate me starting my solo YouTube channel in 2013. Basically. Long ass list though. Alright, let's fucking end this shit.
Any You want to answer a final question on your way there?
On our way there, it might be a really short drive.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. Let's see if there's if the question's short. That is a pretty short question. Kermine also asks, have you ever, would you ever consider attending special events or gaming conferences like PAX to meet subscribers and or patrons? And I've got mixed feelings about that. Because it's like there's like the exciting and fulfilling element of like, meet with the fans, and I've heard that's a good experience for like a lot of people, but like I'm terrified of the idea. It's just like the way I'm wired is like the social anxiety of going to a crowded place and meeting a bunch of strangers that already know you. It's like a uniquely confusing and difficult social situation. I don't know. I would definitely at least need other people there with me, so I'm not just alone with this mob of strangers that is expectant of me and knows who I am, and I don't know any of them.
Do you want me to be your bodyguard? I can bodyguard for you.
You can be my bodyguard. I can be your long lost pal.
What song is that?
Isn't that Paul Simon?
Oh, maybe.
You can call me Eddie.
Oh, yeah,
any way you want to. Call me Al.
Oh.
Call me Al. Yeah, that's a
It's a Paul Simon
yeah, it's
song.
a Paul Simon solo song. That's one of the. I grew up with that music for a while. A man walked down to an alley. I think she talks about like being seduced by a fox-faced girl or something. That's really specific.
Those are the best girls.
Here we go. But so I don't know. It's something that feels like it'll happen eventually. It might be a little more. It'd probably start in a lower context situation of like, instead of like being like, here's my panel or anything like extreme like that, it'd be like, hey, I happen to be at PAX West or something.
I'll be walking around.
I'm at this location right now. I'll be here for an hour, and then like some random fan that's also already at PAX West, but not for me specifically, so they can't be that disappointed.
And I'll say, hey, don't touch the merchandise.
So if there's anywhere
don't touch the keef.
If there's anywhere I'm likely to show up at, it's PAX West, because it's in Seattle, which is where both Bird and Brian live. Whereas everything else is even further away, and I don't travel that much. So here's the
oh my goodness.
Here's a spiteful little hate room. Bridges can't make bridges.
Who needs bridges?
Yeah. No, that note just says no.
And done, X.
X crossed out. Yeah, it's just all pictures of Sam.
Except there, I'm bound to all of it, this world, that world, and our sweet little angel of Amelie. Oh, Amelie.
Yeah. So in here was
one
where
true savior.
This was where the third diary was, or journal or whatever. The world is calling for deliveries, but I need more power.
What the fuck?
No. And yeah, it's just so many fucking pictures of Sam. Some of them with their eyes scratched out. That's like,
that one's kind of a handsome, just a little handsome, like, the headshot right there.
yeah, this one in the middle. It's also like, this is just like not.
See, I knew that his whole thing was a Pharaoh's mask, because there's the Pharaoh's mask thing and there's a freaking King Tut head. But yeah, when he pulls his little jacket up, I was like, oh yeah,
like,
the
this
golden.
is the most explicit it gets. And then there's the pizza.
Tutankhamun.
There's the pizza you kept ordering.
Tomato, onion, and love. Oh, that's my favorite type.
Tomato, onion, and love.
Hell
oh yeah,
yeah.
this is a veggie pizza. Maybe not. That looks a lot like bacon.
Have a delightful time with a delicious meal. Bacon, or not bacon, tomato, onion, and love. I'm gonna call Domino's.
Also a bunch of weird skulls, because he's definitely a phrenologist. And also, like, this is not how yarn networks work.
That's who I am. Yeah, but if you use a yarn network, there's like a 50% chance that you're a crazy person already. Yeah, so I don't think most people's yarn networks.
He's not even drawing connections though. It's just like everything's connected on the whole board. Great. Thanks always, Sonny. Game over, Sam.
Yeah, you know, it's when I was sitting here, I was trying to remember the name of the guy in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that he makes the thing about.
It's Charlie Day, the most famous.
Well, yeah, but he makes a board about somebody. I don't remember the name of the guy he makes the board about.
That might be in my recommended videos playlist still, because that one animator was so good. The one that did the parody of that, and then also Palpatine falling through the building.
I am a paleontologist.
Pepe Sylvia.
Pepe Sylvia.
Pepe
This
Sylvia.
is Pepe Sylvia. Everything's Pepe
I
Sylvia.
showed you this at some point, I think.
Yeah, no, it's a really great animation.
It's the Pepe Sylvia animation by Worthy Kids. It's
with an
just
eye.
fucking funny as shit. All right, both headphones on.
Hey, okay. Yes, sir.
It's time for a grand finale, everybody. Thanks for watching 75 episodes of Patreon Q&As and almost 70 episodes of Death Stranding.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Hang on, gotta remember how to play this game. There we go.
Okay. Let's just sit here for a second.
Oh.
He learned the song on harmonica.
Oh, loose wiggly. Oh, Lou is dancing. Oh no.
It's so good. He learned BB's theme on a harmonica and he plays it for Lou whenever they rest.
Oh, my heart.
In the there's a secret prepper in the first map, the small one. He was living under a waterfall up in the hills, and it was the musician. And he definitely looked like he was probably like some sort of like J-pop idol or some kind of celebrity musician like cameo character that I don't know. But when you max out his thing, it gives you a harmonica. And I saw this, I'm like, well, gonna have to show that to Stephanie.
I loved that. It made me really happy. I liked Lou's little wiggle. My heart.
Wake up. Wake up, you little shit. One more. What's that little hand gesture he did? He wants to go to bed. He's like, stop it.
Lou's like, fuck you, I'm trying to sleep.
They went to sleep, so he's like, cut it out.
Oh,
That's
Lou.
funny.
That's
All right, everybody. The end.
the end.
Hop on the Patreon if you would like to see episode 76 when it comes out, like next week. And also all the future ones and all the past ones.
I thought you meant more Death Stranding. I was
No,
gonna say, what?
of the Q&A. Not Death Stranding's over. I'm uninstalling it. I platinumed it. I'm moving on with my life now. This is the
Wow.
end of a chapter
This
for
is the
me.
end of an era for us.
I'm gonna go back to playing WoW now. In my free time. And Overwatch. Overwatch when it's not... Overwatch during active hours and WoW during time to go to sleep soon hours. Because I need to like ramp down. If I play Overwatch right before I want to go to bed, I might have a heart, like, those matches of Overwatch that could get so tense and so like, and it's all depending on me in certain ways sometimes, and it's like so in there that I'm like, I'll have like a gut, I'll have that dread feeling in your gut, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like it's too tense, and it's like I need to, so I try to make sure there's like hours of gap between when I play Overwatch and when it's time for me to go to bed, because otherwise that might like persist, and then I'm just gonna be laying in bed stressed out.
You don't go to sleep like
Yeah.
that. Go to sleep like Lou did.
Yeah. So no, I'll like ramp down with like either watching a show or I'll be playing WoW or something while like listening to video essays or something. And then until it's time for me to actually stop for the day. Good few hours. I like me some Overwatch, but I gotta like Overwatch responsibly, or it'll like attack me. It's weird. There's just, you know, I mean, I'm sure you're familiar. It's just like, there's forms of entertainment that are stressful,
Oh yeah.
but like they specifically seek them out because of the intensity sometimes. But that means you have to like think about when to do it.
I'm trying to find some new disgusting, morbid, fucked up shit.
Yeah.
So if you guys know any good movies, or I'm watching When They Cry right now, which is like an anime horror classic that I found on Hulu finally. But if you guys can think of any like creepy ass, weird, disgusting movies, I like really fucked up stuff.
Oh yeah, we gotta watch Society.
Yes.
We gotta learn what that is, because that looks like a trip.
I'm trying
Looks
to
like-
find.
looks like people
I'm trying to find
merging
a
or
Serbian
something.
film. So that's the
Oh,
level I'm
God.
talking about right
Oh,
here.
no.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll join you on that one.
No, I watched
Although
that. I watched those by myself.
Although I have heard that there's like a scene where like there's a boner cam, like POV shot, where like his penis is becoming engorged, and you see it from the perspective of the penis. So it's like looking down, and then it slowly rotates around till it's looking up at him.
Yeah.
Like that's the fucking camera. It's like what the fuck. But no, I've heard the plot of that movie pretty much front to back, and it's deeply fucked up.
Yes.
Like
so
deeply
find me some
distressing.
stuff like this. If you know any stuff. When They Cry is really good, but I don't think it's gonna freak me out as much as it's supposed to. So.
You can also, you still got to read No Longer Human.
No longer
the new Junji Ito.
man. No longer
Well, everyone,
man.
goodbye.
Goodbye,
Get out.
everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Go away.
Why are you still here?
Goodbye.